It's Monday, May 12th, 2025, and this is episode 335 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall.
And I'm Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike, you staying cool?
Yeah, staying cool. Air conditioner's on in our house.
Wow.
It's been a little warm here, getting up in the high 70s, 80s.
Yeah, nice.
So how about there?
90s.
90s.
Yeah, it's summer.
Yep, which is good. Spring and summer means hope and renewal and more time to gamble because the days are longer.
That's right. More time to gamble. Well, there's nothing better than talking about weather on a podcast. That people may be listening to months from now. So let's move on. In our last episode, we got a call from our buddy Ariel who said he went to Caesars New Orleans and inadvertently went to the Harrah's check-in instead of the Caesars check-in, and that they weren't close. And I did some sleuthing, and, as far as I could tell, all the Harrah's branding had been removed from Caesars New Orleans. So I corrected Ariel, and I said, Ariel, it was probably the Nobu check-in that you went to.
Yeah.
And, then when...
Well, Michael James mentioned something about that, too.
Well,
right?
That's why I'm bringing it up, Mike, because I was completely wrong.
Oh, my.
We got Michael James contacted us and said, no, there is a Harrah's hotel. There's like a Harrah's Tower as part of Caesars New Orleans. And the check-in is actually quite a ways away from the Caesars check-in. So you need to know which hotel you're checking into. And there is a Nobu hotel as well. But Ariel, you were right. I apologize.
Yeah, so that's kind of confusing.
I'm surprised. I mean, I guess it's like the Augustus Tower at Caesars, right? It's just another name. But for some reason, they kept the Harrah's name. I don't know. I think it's confusing too, but
well, it's not like the Augustus Tower because no matter which tower you're staying in at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, you check in at the same place.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you don't have different check-ins.
Yeah.
Now, if they let him check in at Caesars and said, well, you're in the Harrah's, so you got a little bit of a walk. Well, okay, but you've already checked in.
Yeah, but you can't do it.
But that's
apparently.
weird. Yeah.
So just be aware if you're going to Caesars New Orleans, you got three possibilities. You got Caesars, you got Nobu, which according to Michael James, those check-ins are fairly close to each other. And then you've got a bit of a walk to the Harrah's check-in. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, another reason never to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, yet another reason.
Another reason. It's confusing.
Well, what do you think in New Orleans? Oh, well, it's one of the most interesting cities in America. It's got the French influence, but it is very confusing.
Yeah. No, I prefer to go to Vegas, where it's not confusing. You just walk down the street.
Just walk down the street. Oh, where are you going? New York, New York? Oh, I've never been to New York. No, it's in Vegas. What? I'm going to Paris.
Paris.
No, Las Vegas. What? All right, Mike. Well, Zorkfest will be coming up at the end of the year, and they just recently announced that the venue will be the M Resort, which is off Strip there. You and I have been there once. We've never stayed there. We stopped, on the way out of town.
I've been there before one other time on my way out of town when you weren't with me. But,
okay.
It's a ways from everything.
It is, but, it's one of those sort of all-inclusive resorts if you're not going anywhere else. If you just want a place to play and have all your amenities there. Sherry and I would probably go early. We may spend half of our time in one property and then half our time at M. But anyway, the Travel and Casino Loyalty Conference will be December 5th through the 7th this year. It's a great way to learn about points you earn through travel and hotel casino stays and how to make the most of them. Plus, you get to meet tons of people from the Vegas and gambling internet community. I'll put a link in the show notes that has all the details and where you can buy tickets and everything. Sherry and I plan on being there, Mike. I'm guessing you're probably iffy just because of the timing.
Yeah, the timing's a little iffy, but we'll see. Okay. We'll see. I would like to go just to see everybody.
Yeah.
I would have to rent a car because you got to get to the airport and then drive to M.
Well, you can Uber
I mean,
it.
you can take a
cab it.
cab,
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
What are you going to do with a car? Where are you going to drive?
Well, but then during the trip, I do want to go to the Strip and see other stuff. Yeah. I'm iffy, but I'm leaning towards the going.
Okay, good.
If it's all possible.
All right, good. December 5th through the 7th.
Another good thing about a meetup like that is even if you're not interested in points or whatever, there's still plenty to do.
Oh, yeah. And it's great to meet up with everybody. And
yeah, he has a lot of events. And
once again, there's going to be blackjack and craps labs. And they promise they're going to have real tables this year instead of just the felt that we had to kind of lay out on the table. So
I'd like it if they had a slot pool. I miss that from the Internet Mafia days.
A slot pool? They sometimes do. Yeah, when we went to Zorkfest in Lake Tahoe, they had a slot pool.
Right, But it should be a regular every time because if you want, put in $100 and we're all going to go to some high limit machine and, maybe Michael picks the machine in the high limit room and we play it, see what we get.
So you're volunteering to organize this?
No, Michael Traeger.
Oh, okay.
I could organize it if you want. Just meet me in the high limit room.
Yeah, you don't do enough work for this show, Dr. Mike. You should probably
do some. Well, maybe I will. Right. If I go, maybe I'll have a time. I'll say, hey, we're going to do a high limit slot pull. Come on over, bring $100. We'll put all of our money together. We'll see how many pulls we can get, and we'll split the money afterwards.
All right.
When we hit the $100,000 payout or something.
Well, hopefully we'll see you in December, Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, here's some good news. So Vinny Chens and Big Joe are back. The 7 Out podcast is back. Now, if you remember, a few years ago, they came back and put out a couple episodes and then disappeared again.
Yeah, well, they fell in a bunker. See, it took them a while to get out of the bunker. Now they're out of the bunker and ready to go.
So they're claiming that they're back for good, and I think I believe them. So, yeah, check that out. They just dropped their first new episode here recently. It is so fun to listen to that. They are so entertaining. You can't listen to the episode and not smile and or laugh as you go along because they just play off each other like boom, boom, boom. It's so much fun to listen to. So
what was the hiatus for?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was Big Joe's fault.
Yeah,
I think that's what Vinny said.
We're going to blame Big Joe.
I think Big Joe is such a perfectionist that unless he could produce what he felt was high quality content, he'd rather not do it at all.
Ooh,
now,
okay.
I'm putting words in Big Joe's mouth here, but
he's kind of like the Martin Scorsese of podcasting.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd say Big Joe is like the Martin Scorsese of podcasting.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Explained well enough. I like it.
Right. Well, welcome back, guys. The community is so thrilled to have you back. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first. You can betonThat.com and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, we've been saving up on some voicemails, so let's get started. First up is Gunner.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Dr. Mike. This is Gunner in Almondale, South Carolina, calling back with my latest trip report from Harrah's, Cherokee. Wife and I went up there Easter weekend, got there Friday night, left Sunday morning. She ended up dead even. No, not dead even. She was down $30 at the end of the weekend, but she turned her $40 in free play to $100 something, and she played on that through most of the day Saturday. So good day and a half of just playing off a free play for her. Dice were pretty good for me Friday night and Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I actually saw a $15 craps table. Haven't seen one there in a while, at least for me. We only get to the casino probably about 4 times a year just with our family life that we've got going on right now at this stage. So being up $500 going into the second half of Saturday, I decided we were going to go for some tier credits, being a 5-time multiplier weekend. And that didn't work out too great from a bankroll, but we had a good time. Sports betting brought me back a little bit now that baseball's going and NHL playoffs started. So got a few sports bets in there and won some monies on the Orioles and Braves and turned a bad day into a semi-okay day. It's a great property. We had a great time. It's kind of tough only being able to get out there or to any casino 4 or 5 times a year. I feel like we've got to make the trips worth our while. So when you're sitting there up a couple $100 at the beginning of the day, Saturday, it's kind of hard to stop yourself from playing the rest of the trip.
Yep.
But we had a good time. We gamble with what we're okay with, either walking home with nothing or doubling. But appreciate the show, guys. We'll be out in Vegas in August for her birthday, and hopefully we will have a great trip report for that trip. Y'all stay well. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Gunnar.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it sounds like he has it all worked out.
I think so. It's kind of like you said, when you only have a certain number of trips that you can take. Well, it's even, Mike, when you and I, like, say, go out to the casino. If we win, in the first 5 minutes, we're up like some incredible amount. It's not like we're going to leave. We came out to gamble.
No, we do not use the Stan Wong method of gambling. And by Stan Wong, I mean Stan Wong, our friend.
Yeah, it's so funny. We're not talking about Stanley Wong, the author. We actually have a friend named Stan Wong. And for longtime listeners will remember that he said, well, at some point, you're going to be up. So as soon as you're up, just leave.
Just leave. So if I win my first bet, I'm up.
Yeah, and you leave.
And you leave. Set at a blackjack table, $5 bet. I won. I'm up. Bye.
My only problem with his philosophy is that there are plenty of times when I'm never up.
Yeah, right. Right. There's more times that I'm never up. Yeah. I mean, we play a lot of craps, and what we're waiting for is the big roll.
Yeah.
So if we have a couple of good rolls early and we're up, a few $100, we're not going to leave. We're waiting for the big roll.
On a recent episode of 500, a listener asked Tim and Michelle, if you went on a trip, would you rather have your big win at the beginning of the trip or at the end of the trip? What would your answer be, Dr. Mike?
My answer?
Yeah.
Definitely at the end. I'd rather have my big, huge win. That puts me up for good.
Yeah.
5 hours before I'm ready to leave or something.
Okay.
Because I've got enough money at the start of the trip.
All right. Tim and Michelle and I say we'd prefer it at the beginning of the trip because then you've got all this money and there's no stress the whole rest of the trip. You got money to play with. You're not worried about being down and trying to get back. It just makes for us less stress.
Less stress. Well, that could be true for some people.
Okay. You like it at the end. You're happy. You're going home. Yes, I got him. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay.
Because, it's been my experience when I win early. Like I remember one trip, my dad and I got on a craps table at Harrah's, and some kid was there. It was just me, my dad, and this kid. Early in the day, like on a Friday or Thursday or something. And he had a monster roll, and he made so many 4s and 10s. Mm-hmm. And at the end of his roll, I was up 40,000.
40,000?
Yes. And my dad said, you better put that away. You put that away. You put that away. And I'm like, okay. So I put most of it in the safe in the room. And, I took some down, played and lost. And by the end of the trip, because we were there 3 days or something, it was empty because I thought, I've got all this money. I can be a little more, go at it a little harder, right?
More aggressive, yeah.
Yeah, I never had a good roll and then ended up going home down a little. And it was like,
wow.
What?
Okay, so now I understand your answer. If you have a big win up front, your eyes get pretty big. You maybe go for it, get a little more aggressive. And you could, whereas if you, just a regular trip, you're going to play normal. And then the big win at the end, at least you're taking home some money.
Right.
All right.
Because it's like your attitude, right? So I brought, like 4,000, 5,000, and then all of a sudden I've got 45,000. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh my gosh. So you go at it hard and then slowly over a few days, you're down to nothing. And then you're thinking, wait a minute, I was up so much money. I better get that back.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Now,
you know what I mean?
I understand your mindset. Yep.
It's how you look at it.
Yep.
So either answer, I think, is a good answer, depending on the person.
Yeah.
Now, some people can win right off the bat and then just shut down. Oh, I'm just going to go to the bar and I'm never going to gamble.
Or they can pocket away a significant amount of the winnings and never dip into it.
Yeah. And that's not me. I'm a kind of go for it guy.
That's right. You're going to play the 50-50 drawings at sports events. You're going to play the lottery because you're going for it.
I'm going for it. Yeah. I won a couple 50-50 drawings at high school basketball games.
There you go.
But that doesn't help me because I always donated back to the school.
Yeah, you got a problem.
And then it makes all the people who don't give it back look bad. So I like that too.
All right, let's hear from our buddy Ariel.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike. This is Ariel. Just a trip report. So I was in Vegas this past weekend, Easter weekend. So we did the helicopter ride for the Grand Canyon. So what we did is we drove to Grand Canyon West, and then we did the helicopter ride. It's like about $360 per person. I think it was worth it. We ended up at the bottom by the river, and then we had a pontoon ride, like to the mouth of the river and then back. So it's definitely worth it for us. We've never done the helicopter ride. Stayed at the Rio, and also had an extra room at the downtown Fremont. And that was kind of interesting. We didn't really stay at downtown Fremont that much, just at the Rio, and also like kind of did some touristy stuff. Gambling was okay. Craps was not too hot, so it was just pointing out. So after a while, just kind of burnt out there. Won a little bit in a slot machine. That was pretty cool. And just walked around and kind of just enjoyed the weekend. Had like the fastest drive back from Vegas to Anaheim, which was 3 hours and like 40 minutes.
Nice.
With no traffic. So that was a first. Anyways, just wanted to thank you guys for everything that you guys do. Oh, and let me know, do you guys do that? Do you book like multiple rooms to take advantage of multiple play perks? Or do you just save it, even though you're not staying in the room or whatnot? Let me know what you guys do with that, because I end up using it all the time. All right, take care.
Yeah, we've done that quite a bit, where we'll...
I was just going to say, I would never do that. Yes, we've done that a lot.
Sure, and a lot of people in this community do. And I think some people think, I'm not going to stay at Caesar's Palace. I've got a room booked there, but I'm actually going to stay at Bellagio. So I better go up to the room at Caesar's Palace and mess up the bed or make it look like I've been there.
Well, that's me, right? I walk up there one time.
I don't think
the bed up.
You don't need to do
Put
that.
the do not disturb sign on.
I don't think you need to worry about it. I don't think housekeeping is saying, hey, nobody slept here. And then they're reporting back to their supervisor, and it works its way all the way up to your host. He didn't even stay here.
No, the housekeeping's thinking this is excellent.
Yeah, it's like, great.
I don't have to do anything.
I get credit for cleaning this room, and I didn't do anything. Maybe leave a tip for them.
Say, right. Up there, leave it.
If you're going to do something, help out housekeeping.
They probably still have to vacuum and wipe stuff down.
Maybe,
just because they don't know. Yeah. Maybe you're one of those people who makes their bed perfectly every morning.
But usually, if you're booking that room that you're not going to stay in to get free play or some kind of offer, you're still going to play at that property. You're giving them business. So again, we do it all the time.
Yeah, I think the most I've done is 3.
Okay, at one time?
Yeah. 3 different casinos that I have rooms in. It's kind of nice, too, whichever one you're closest to is the one you sleep at.
Just go into, whatever one's you're closest to.
I booked one to get my airplane fee paid.
Right.
Like, we'll pay your airfare. Okay, I book a room there, but I don't stay there.
I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to have a call later that specifically deals with that, getting your airfare,
Getting your airfare, yeah.
Yeah, that Grand Canyon trip, that sounds like so much fun. It's the kind of thing, though, that I wouldn't do if I were in Vegas. Maybe if I was just going to go to the Grand Canyon as a vacation.
Right.
But when I'm in Vegas, I can't take it.
Well, you know what, Mark? I'm not getting in any helicopters. I never have.
No.
And most of the people I've talked to have had bad experiences.
Most of the people you've talked to that have been in helicopters have had bad experiences.
Yes.
Okay.
It's true. My brother took one in Hawaii and the wind was blowing so much. And he said, it's great. You see all this stuff, but it's so windy. You're kind of the whole time thinking, geez,
nerve-wracking.
A little nerve-wracking, right? He had the same experience in Alaska. So those are 2 places definitely not going to. And you know how the hot air comes off the desert in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I do.
Just from landing in a plane and stuff. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I'd be up there in a helicopter. I'm sure it's safe. There are crashes.
But you hear about.
But you're more likely to be in a car crash than
right.
you are in a helicopter crash. But it's not for me.
All right. Well, okay. Well, Ariel, glad you had a good time. Don't expect to see Dr. Mike up there in a helicopter with you anytime soon.
Unless the helicopter has one of those machine guns mounted on the side. I can shoot. I can shoot things on the ground. That I might enjoy.
Now, there's a Vegas experience. You talk about those gun ranges you can go to, right, and fire off all these assault rifles and everything. That do that, right?
That would be great.
That's enough. So they take you up in the helicopter.
As long as you're strapped in real good, and just targets on the ground, not animals or humans or anything.
That's $1 billion idea, Dr. Mike.
Just targets that you shoot at.
You're not shooting it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You're not shooting at don't betters.
All right, line up, everybody.
A bunch of don't betters, running around, big no pass sign on their back. Ding, ding. You shoot them with paintballs.
Yeah, you from a high-powered gun in a helicopter. This is good, Mike. I would like you to pursue that instead of the slot pull for Zorkfest. Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay. $400 you get to go up in a helicopter and shoot paintballs down at Mark and I running around some field.
Right. Dr. Mike, look out.
There'd be too many takers for that, Mark. Nothing else would get done at Zorkfest.
All right, next call.
Hi, this is Kevin from Sacramento, and I got a trip report. I went to Vegas for my wife's work trip for a few days. And from there, I flew from Vegas to New Orleans, so got a lot of gambling in. Was up and down the whole time, but eventually left it down only a little bit, which is pretty good, given that I had a pretty big bankroll to last me all week. If I just stuck to craps, though, I would have been up. So this is just showing that statistically, craps is better, and that's just smart gambling right there. Went to New Orleans, pretty much went to the casino every night. Craps minimums were $25, which is a little too high, and they did not lower the whole time we were there, no matter what day, what time. There are $25 minimums. But we did do the craps machine, which is still a $5 minimum. We all win big on that one. I do got a question about the all-tall small bet. So in normal craps, you make the all-tall small bet before the come-out roll, right? Which I always found annoying because if you roll a 7, then you win your pass line, but you lose your all-tall small, which can sometimes be more than your pass line bet. And if you get a point, that number is crossed off the all-tall small, so then when you make it later, it doesn't do anything for your all-tall small bet, right? So on the craps machine, it allows you to put money on the all-tall small after your points is established, but only if nobody else has put money on it yet. Since this is what I prefer, I was telling everyone to wait until a point was established, until they put money on that. I was just curious on why this is. You would think the machine would be smart enough to track this bet simultaneously with the other one, but I do like this feature, and I prefer it better because it is very exciting when the last number you need for your all-tall small is also your points, which happened a few times. So I like this way more than the normal version. Let me know what you guys think. Also in New Orleans, a lot of bars have slot machines in them, and I was just curious on the gambling laws there. I know New Orleans laws are different from the U.S. because they allow open containers. So is gambling just 100% legal there? And if so, why is Caesars the only casino there, like the only main casino? You'd think more casinos would build up. In separate news, I'm going to the Cal Expo horse races tomorrow in Sacramento because it is the last day that they will be open, and they've been open since 50 years. So going to go out, make some bets on the horses. Anyways, just want to thank you guys for the podcast and keep up the good work. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hopefully you had fun at the horse race. Yeah. Cal Expo in Sacramento, they used to host harness racing, and they closed down on May 2nd, declining attendance and the cost of maintaining the facility were listed
seems
as reasons. So
horse racing is winding down.
Well, we've talked about this for a few years. You know, when American Pharoah won the Triple Crown. That kind of ignited more of an interest in horse racing. But yeah, it's definitely been declining over the years.
Yeah, and I think some of the big, like there's going to be Kentucky Derby and stuff like that. But I would imagine, and I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine track attendance at
like at smaller venues.
Yeah, at smaller venues is way down.
It could be, yeah.
So eventually you may have, 3 or 4 tracks in the country that host some of these big things, and that'll be it.
Yeah. Dr. Mike, you and I have talked about New Orleans and, hey, yeah, why is Caesars really the only property there? We don't know anything about the gambling laws in New Orleans or Louisiana.
I would imagine, and this is just my guess, there's not a lot of room.
Not a lot. No,
right?
No.
I mean, because the flooding areas are out, right? Nobody's going to build a big, huge casino in an area that might flood or might sink. A big flood like hurricane hits and levee breaks. And
we could say that about any structure in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, but any structure is not worth that much.
All right.
I'm just thinking that usable land is at a premium. And so buying land there and building a big casino might be hard to do unless you did it outside of New Orleans, outside the city. And then they might worry about, well, people are going to come. They want to stay in the French Quarter, right? Are they going to drive out here to the casino?
Okay. Lack of real estate.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking. Now, that may be wrong, but because otherwise, why wouldn't you have more casinos there?
Yeah,
you got people partying all the time and stuff.
We don't know what we're talking about because, again, we don't know the reason. We don't know the laws down there. So feel free to educate us, people.
Yeah, if somebody knows that exactly why that's never happened.
Kevin was talking about the all small tall. At most real craps tables, they will let you bet the all small tall anytime as long as nobody is already on there.
Right. And I've never been to one that doesn't let you do that.
I am trying to remember. I think I have where it has to be the come out roll, but there's no reason for the casino to make it that way. Right. If nobody's on it and it's the middle of a hand.
If nobody's on it, and usually they don't mark anything if no one's on it. So you can bet on it.
Now, you could say to everybody at the table, kind of like Kevin was saying, hey, let's not bet on this until a point has been established. And as long as everybody agrees, that's fine. It's just that most people make the bet on the come out roll. So
it would be very hard to do on a table with a bunch of people.
To convince them to wait.
If you didn't know, right? Because their thinking might be different than yours. And also, I'm wondering on the machines, if, there's a come out roll, nobody's bet on it, and then I bet on it. If I'm quicker than you betting on it, once I bet on it, can you bet on it?
All right. Walk me through this. What do you mean if you're quicker than me?
Well, like you're on a machine, right? And you're making your bets.
Right.
And the first thing after the come out roll, nobody's bet on the all tall small, and you make a wager first thing. And I'm busy, putting my place bets up or something. And then after you've made one, I guess I can still make one before the next roll.
Yeah, why wouldn't you
or
be
with
able to? What
I don't
what
know.
am I
I'm
missing
just wondering.
Here?
Well, I'm just wondering if the machine would say, "Oh, somebody's on it now."
No, not before a roll. I mean, that would be the case even if it were the come out roll. So in your scenario, only the first person who made the bet would be able to make the bet?
I was just thinking on a machine. I know in real life, the casino would say, yeah, we haven't had a roll. Anyone can put on there. But
all right.
I'm just wondering the machine takes that into account. So the machine can figure that out.
Oh, my God. I can't believe you're making this more complicated than it has to be. I will say this, though. Let's say you are at a machine with multiple people. There's no reason why the machines can't be programmed to treat everybody's all small tall separately. It's not like you,
true.
Right? It can keep track of the numbers just on your machine.
Right. It's not like your bets are linked to anyone else's.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's not the case, but there's no reason it couldn't be, right? It's all computer, all electronic. So
right. Well, there's a program for you to write and make a better machine.
I'll write a sternly worded letter.
Well, just write the program.
Then who do I give it to? I don't have the source code for the...
You sell it to somebody and say, hey, look, this is a better
I don't think
machine.
I need to write the program. I think I just need to say, hey, keep the all small, tall separate for every player. All right, we got to move on. This is terrible that we've spent this much time talking about this. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Marco from Germany. I haven't called in a while, but I made it to Vegas this month, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you. I had a really good time overall. Was there for 10 days, which is long, I know that, but coming over from Europe, you kind of have to stay a little longer. I always try to combine it with something in between. I go to a national park or to Los Angeles or to beautiful San Diego, and then I come back to Vegas for a little capper of another 3 or 4 days and then go home. This time around, I stayed at Fontainebleau and the Bellagio, which were both very, very nice. Fontainebleau, I'm a big fan of, I have to say. It's a gorgeous hotel. And they have $25 pie-out tables the whole time, which is also very nice, and some really cool people playing there, so that was great. Overall, gambling-wise, went pretty well. Like, for the amount of time I stayed there, I only lost like $600 or $700, which I think is a spectacular result for that amount of gaming, because I gamble every day and I get the rooms comped. So factoring that in and all the drinks I have there, I think that was a very good deal. Mostly play craps off-strip to get the cheaper tables. So I wanted to report that the $5 table is not dead in Las Vegas, but you have to make an effort to find it. You can find it in the mornings at Ellis Island or at the Palms. So shout out to the Palms, which has recently changed some things. They don't go over 10. Ellis Island will have $5 in the mornings and then change it at maybe noon, something around that. You never really know. But if you show up early, they grandfather you and you can play for the rest of the day for $5. Other places you might find it is Downtown Grand, Oyo, and South Point, but only during the day. In the evening, I think $5 is dead now. And then I wanted to share one story that I experienced at the Palms when I was playing craps there, and it was going really well. And then that one guy showed up. You know, I was in the middle of a roll, making some points. We all had a good time. The guy showed up, bought in the middle of a roll for $415, you know, with crumpled up notes from his pocket. It took a very long time. He was being difficult already during the buy-in. And then he proceeded to lay the 10. So he was betting against the table after all of that. And of course, the next roll was a 7. And then it got a little heated. People were really mad at him. Some left. And then afterwards, it changed, you know. The game was going really well. And afterwards, no one could hit a point anymore. That guy left after the heated exchange. He was only there for that one roll. And I was talking to the dealers, and they said, you know, it's a spirited game. And that kind of stayed with me. I really believe that. Normally, I'm a very rational person, but there is something about craps. It goes in waves to me, and if weird things happen, if there's negative energy, it might change the nature of the game and what happens there. And it certainly changes the mood at the table. That one I can tell you, because afterwards nobody was having a good time anymore. And that guy even came back like 10 minutes later, and he wanted to lay the 10 for another $300. And we were like, you will not do that right now. And then he left. Well, we will not be friends. But hey, overall, I had a great trip. So thank you for your efforts on this show. It's amazing. I love listening to it. And best of luck to you guys. Goodbye.
All right. Thanks, Marco. Great trip report. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there's always that guy.
Yeah, and whereas I don't think that will change the results of actually rolling the dice, oh yeah, it can kill a mood. And to me, that's the most important thing at the craps table. We've talked about it. It's the crew. It's the mood at the table. You know, you could be on a hot roll, but if it's, you know, a lot of negative energy, so-called negative energy, it's no fun.
Yeah, you know, Mark, not to disrupt your logical thinking, but as a scientist, anything is possible.
Okay. As a scientist, anything is possible. I would disagree with that, but I understand where you're coming from.
A scientist with an open mind. Popular Mechanics had an article in the last couple of weeks that revealed there's a place where time moves 9% slower for humans than the rest of organisms.
The rest of organisms.
Yeah, humans, time moves slower there than it does for, say, a rabbit or any other organism.
And where is this place?
Well, you got to read the article. The headline kind of makes it seem a little odd, but it's complicated. You'll have to read the article. It's in Popular Mechanics. I don't want to get into it. It'll take too long. But things are always possible.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, you'll find weird things. I read a lot of science, so
you do.
Yes, I do. And it's just interesting that some things that we think we know a lot about, but we don't know very much about. So things are possible. That's what I'm saying. There could be something with that kind of energy that's always going to make the table go cold.
Okay.
Anyway, I read these things and I think to myself, well, gosh darn it, there's a probability that something's going to happen or something we don't know about that really exists.
But see, the thing is, you read these things and then you come on the show and you try to say what you read, but somehow you get something mixed up. Or you get a figure wrong, or you're saying the opposite of what the article says. So
I read those articles.
When I call you on it, then you get mad at me because, like, why are you fact checking me?
They're just articles I read, but it makes me think that things are possible. That's why it makes me think that there is such a thing as a cooler, and there is such a thing as, positive energy at a table or negative energy at a table, things like that.
Affecting it. Okay. Well,
yeah, other than affecting the mood, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that it could actually affect the winning, the losing, what's coming up on the dice. You're wrong. You're incredibly wrong, but I respect you have your opinion.
Yeah. Well, don't you think that humans can slow time down if they want?
Not using their brain, I imagine.
You don't think so?
No, I think if they get into a vehicle that's going...
But time is just a construct of your brain.
No, time's real. And yes, time can slow down depending on how fast you are. Let's get Einstein on the phone. Oh my God. I can't believe...
We're talking about two different kinds of time.
I can't...
Move on, Mark. Move on.
Believe how off the rails this has gone. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Tristan from Orange County. I'm a Lyft driver, so I listen to a ungodly amount of podcasts while I'm driving, and I'm not going through your guys' catalog from the very beginning, but when I run out of things to listen to, I go back and listen to certain old episodes, and I have a couple of t-shirt ideas that you guys are now making t-shirts you might consider making. One of them is just to have a picture of a house phone on a pillar, and then the quote next to it can just be, "I'm eating cream cheese." I would buy that shirt in a heartbeat. And the second one is from, I think it's episode 51. There's a story Mike was telling about you guys at the craps table just obsessed with talking about the different kind of lammers that they use, and a hypothetical pit boss saying these need lammers. And that t-shirt can look like a I'm with stupid t-shirt, but with the arrow pointing both ways. So people can stand in the middle of you guys and take pictures, and it just says, "These need lammers," and it's pointing to both of you. Don't know if those are good ideas. I think the I'm eating cream cheese one is great. I would buy that shirt. You should make it. Please, please, please. All right, bye.
I don't even know if I bleeped out the original episode, that word, but we're a family show, so I thought I'd bleep those out.
I do like I'm eating cream cheese, and it's just one of those house phones on the wall.
Yeah, longtime listeners will remember that. At one point, I got a call. This was before cell phones. I got a call from Dr. Mike at the craps table who asked to use a house phone. They gave him a phone. He called up to the room. Hello? I'm eating cream cheese. Click. That was it.
Yep, that's what I did. Yesterday, leaving the school, I'm walking down the hall, and the principal and 3 teachers are talking. Mm-hmm. And they look at me and they said, "Have a good weekend." And I said, "You guys too." And then I put my hand on one of the teacher's shoulders and said, "Try not to get arrested this weekend." Uh-huh. And walked away. Didn't say anything else.
Stuff like that is always great because, the other teacher's thinking, "Oh, you've been arrested before?"
Yeah, you were arrested.
I've never been arrested. Why would you say that?
So I'm curious when I go there on Monday to find out what
you're
she
here.
thought of. Oh, you didn't get arrested. Oh, yeah, it's sometimes fun just to say stupid stuff to people. But it always needs to end with a click or a walk away. You can't stay there and explain it.
That's what's nice about using a landline. When you hang up, it's really loud and clicky. On a cell phone, you just press a button, you don't even really hear it. You need a landline hang up to really send it home.
The person on the other end of the cell phone, they're like, "Are you there?
Yeah.
Are you still there?" They don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from our friend Melanie.
Hello, Mark. Hello, Dr. Mike. This is Melanie from Colorado, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, where I'm visiting my daughter who's on a student exchange here. Wandered into the Asian poker tour the other day. They had a women's tournament, only $245 to enter, and only 135 people, and I really wanted to play. However, I did not have enough time. The bar upstairs / cafe was hilarious. It had all these poker-themed drinks with concoctions. I'll send you a picture of the menu, but super bizarre. But then next to it was a sign that said, the puking fine is 10,000 NTD, which is about $300 US. With these concoctions, I then understood. No casinos per se here in Taipei. It's not legal. I am headed next to Vietnam, where I have gambled before, so I'll see if I make it to a casino, although I didn't see a poker game there. I take that back. I did see one at one casino in the past. I somewhat wonder, do any of your listeners, or do you guys, worry about collusion when you're in a country where you absolutely don't speak much of the language? Just curious about that. Table talk, you never know. I experience that in Colorado from time to time. Been playing some poker up in Black Hawk, the 1-3 game. They have a $300 high hand bonus every 15 minutes, Sunday through Friday, and I've won that 3 times now. And done pretty well there at those tables and quite enjoyed it. I went there for March Madness, thought about going to Vegas, ended up not going, but it was great because they had the TVs right there. We could watch the games, and then the sports book kind of abuts the poker room at Ameristar in Black Hawk, so it was pretty funny. Their feed must have been a second later because somebody would do a slam dunk, and then a second later we'd hear the cheering, so it was pretty great. Anyway, hope you guys are doing great. Cannot wait to see you in Black Hawk. I'm always looking to see if your show is updated because I love hearing your podcast on my travels. Well, anywhere, honestly. So from Vietnam, I'll go to Singapore, might try to make a casino there, and then on to Venice, Rome, and the Amalfi Coast, where I doubt there'll be poker offerings, but if there are, I'll find them. All right, thanks again for all your great work.
All right, thanks, Melanie. Globe-trotting Melanie, traveling the world.
Excellent, I love that.
Yeah. Black Hawk, Thomas and Melissa starting to set things up. September, Black Hawk, Colorado. I plan on being there. Dr. Mike, you plan on being there. I think many people from this community plan on being there, so hope to see everybody there.
She's talking about collusion.
Yeah.
And we've experienced that a lot in our old Pai Gow days.
Yeah. Now, it's different, traditional poker table versus Pai Gow poker. But yes, in the old days when it was kind of the Wild West and you weren't playing against a casino, you were playing against other players, people would stand behind you to try to read your hand and then signal to the bank. There was stuff going on there. And there was a lot of foreign language going on at the table too. Now,
tons. They're speaking Vietnamese, Tagalog, there's like 5 languages going on. And at some point, I remember the dealers, they made a rule, the casino English only.
Right.
But that was for the people sitting. The people standing behind could speak whatever they wanted.
It was interesting. But I'd be a little concerned if I was in a foreign country and didn't know the language because, often you're playing against maybe regulars who know each other. Right. So they could kind of signal each other very quickly and, not even have to have some kind of special signals in place, just a word here and there. So it's always something to watch out for. Yeah, even here, Melanie said she sees it in Colorado every once in a while. So, you have to watch out for it. It's funny, she sent us a picture of that vomiting fine sign, right? It was 10,000 Taiwan dollars vomiting fine. And there's a little picture of a guy throwing up and like a...
That should be everywhere, Mark. I mean, when you go into a restaurant, they should have the rating card there from the health department, if it's an A, a B, or C, whatever the rating is.
Yeah.
And next to it, they should put out, this is the fine for vomiting.
Yeah. I agree, Dr. Mike. I mean, anytime I go into a restaurant, one of the first things I want to see is the word vomit.
Yeah. Well, or anywhere. It should be for every store, right?
Yeah.
Like, in your office, you have to have a sign that says we use chemicals here that are known to be cancer causing.
Right.
Well, you should be open about everything. This is the fine for vomiting.
Yeah.
So when you go into a Macy's, they have a sign
Yeah,
there.
fine. I think we're going to
Fine
need
for-
one of those changing displays like we said we'd have in the casino for all the fines. Here's the vomiting fine. Here's the tripping fine.
Well, in our casino, there will be no vomiting fine.
Oh.
Because vomiting means we've made money. So we will not fine anybody for vomiting.
Just go, oh, are you okay? Here's a $5 voucher.
Yeah. Here's a free coupon to the buffet. Must be used within the next half hour.
That's right. It's time stamped.
Yeah.
And then Melanie was saying, gosh, at Blackhawk, $300 high hand bonus every 15 minutes during the week. That's great. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty good during the week.
Yeah,
though.
right. Not on weekends. Yeah, nice.
Right.
All right, next call.
With Dr. Mike, this is Nick in Kalamazoo, calling you with a post-WrestleMania trip report. It's been on my bucket list to go to WrestleMania, and since it was in Vegas, it was easy to convince the wife to go. As soon as we heard it was announced in October, she was able to snag 4 nights at the Delano with her MGM status, which was a great place to stay. It's right by Mandalay Bay, and it's a quick walk across to Allegiant Stadium. 61,000 people. It was crazy busy. I'll try to send some pictures of just how big it was and how many people were flooding the hallways to get in there. If you've never been in that stadium, it's beautiful. It's state of the art. It's what you expect. But we're here for gambling. So my wife has high enough status with Caesars to get the airfare credit. So we went to Planet Hollywood. We gave them the documentation and they said, well, what's your room number? And we said, well, what room number? And they said, well, to redeem this, you have to be staying with us. And I said, I've looked through all the rules. I looked through all of the fine print and everything. Nowhere in there does it talk about having to stay with you to get the credit. MGM doesn't require that. We got the $600 there without them asking anyway. So we said, okay, fine, whatever. We went to the rewards desk that wasn't open earlier and they said the same thing. So we burned a 2-night comp just to stay there and get the $600. And we got it in chips. So we got them. We went down and set up Pai Gow. We're using $25 chips to play Pai Gow. And of course, we couldn't use the promo chips on the Progressive because they have to be even money, right? So we played for about an hour, no problem. Then the pit changes and the guy comes over and says, ma'am, are those your free play chips? And she said, yes. And he says, well, you can't share them with your husband. And she said, well, we've been playing for quite a while and no one said anything. He says, yeah, they're non-transferable. You can't share them. So he said, okay. I bought in some money. We played for a while and then walked away. It's kind of left a bad taste in our mouth. Just like, where are all these rules at? Whatever, fine, different pit, different rules, right? And that day we were playing $5 Ultimate Texas Hold'em on like a Friday afternoon. And we decided to go back Saturday morning. Ultimate Texas Hold'em was $15. Everything was $15. And I asked the pit boss, I said, hey, what's going on? Why is a Saturday morning at like 10 a.m. more expensive than a Friday afternoon? And she said, well, we have less dealers. And I said, yeah, but nobody's playing. He said, well, we just don't have the dealers to stock all the games. And I said, okay, so we left. Craps wise, the only interesting stories I have is we played at Park MGM one night before Monday Night Raw. I bought in after the puck was off, and I didn't realize the person to my right was shooting, and I felt terrible squeezing in. But it was a $15 table. She had a $30 six. She hit the 6, full press. It's like, okay, great. And I was pressing one unit. Hit the 6 again, full press again. I was like, oh boy, man, I hope she hit some points. And she did it one more time and then collected. But she did hit the all tall small. She went on a heck of a roll with all the power presses. She walked out after her roll with just a fistful of dollars. I've seen some people power press, but not to that extreme. You know, power press, collect, power press, collect. But this was 4 presses and then collect. That was genius. And I was like, hey, congrats. Really sorry. Didn't know you had the dice when I bought them beside you. Last quick story is I love playing at Golden Gate. But if you haven't played there in a while, their tables are crazy bouncy. I mean, like trampoline bouncy. If you don't throw them right before the wall, they're bouncing off. So when I went this year, I was like, oh man, look, they changed the felt. So they must have changed what was underneath the table. And it was just me and I got the dice. And I mean, I threw every single die off that table. And they're like, yeah, we did change the felt, but we forgot to take some of the padding out. Just try to get as close to the wall as you can. And I mean, we were still having fun, but everybody was doing their best. The dice were just flying off the table left and right. Makes for good stories, but not necessarily the best craps environment. Anyway, always enjoy the show. Appreciate the time. Thanks, guys. I'll give you a call after my next trip.
All right, great. Thank you, Nick. A lot of great information there. Let's go through some of the things that he talked about. Bouncy tables at Golden Gate. I wonder if it's a Stevens Brothers property thing, because the tables at Circa, I throw the dice off the table so much there, more than any other casino. And of course, Golden Gate, the Stevens Brothers also own.
Yeah, I don't know why that would benefit them to have bouncy tables.
No, it would not. It'd be the opposite, right? Because
exactly.
Then the game's not moving as quickly. But yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, you think they'd want to eliminate that more than the players would.
4 presses before collecting. Yeah, that's pretty aggressive. What's the most you've ever done, Dr. Mike?
Well, I don't know, Mark. I'm sure you know.
I don't know for sure. You know what you will say sometimes to me,
a lot.
though? You'll say, all right, the next 4 rolls I'm going to press, or the next 4 numbers. So it won't be just like the 6 you're pressing every time. It's just whatever the next 4 rolls are, as long as they're box numbers. I'm going to press. And sometimes it is a repeat.
When it comes up like 6, I press. And then it comes up 6 again, I press. And I always turned to you, I said, oh God, don't tell me there's going to be 2 more 6s.
Yeah.
And I have to do it. I said I would. So
I don't know if you've said 4 before, maybe 3. That
3
might
or
have been
4.
the most.
I've said 4.
You have? Okay.
Yeah, I've said 4.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever said 5, but it's kind of fun to do, especially if you're up.
So Nick said the pit said to him, yeah, we've got fewer dealers, so the minimums are going to be higher, even though it's not as busy in the casino, right? He was saying like Saturday morning, the minimums were higher than a Friday afternoon. I guess that kind of makes sense. But then like Nick said, nobody was playing. So,
well, I thought about this and I thought, well, maybe, you know how they have the trays already set up?
Yeah.
And some of the tables are set up with a lot of smaller denominations.
Okay.
Because that's going to be a lower limit table. And some of them have higher denominations because that's going to be a higher limit table. And so if they have fewer dealers, maybe somebody says, well, you're at table blah, 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 and you're at table blah, blah, blah. And whatever it is, maybe the pit boss is kind of stuck with like, well, they opened table 8, so that's a $15 table. I wonder if that's the case. I don't know.
I appreciate, again, your theories, or at least, trying to come up with reasons.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, it could be something like that. I mean, somebody up above is the one who determines what they're opening.
Let's move on to this whole free play chips are non-transferable BS.
That's usually the case.
Really? Mm-hmm. Here, I've got some free play chips right here from Hamul. There's nothing here that says they're non-transferable. And plus,
I know that.
What's to prevent me from just giving you the chips and you going and playing? The only reason they got caught is because she was giving him chips right there at the table.
In front of him, yeah. Well, me and my daughter and her friend went up to the casino here in northern Minnesota. I was handing chips to my daughter to bet the bonus stuff.
Right.
Because she didn't want to do it with her money.
Right.
And so I handed her chips, and after about 2 times of doing that, they made me stop.
Well, did they make you stop because it was non-transferable or because...
No, they made me stop because they said you can't hand other players chips over the table. And I'm like, what? The guy said, yeah, if you get up, leave your seat and walk around, it's okay, but you can't be sitting here and handing chips. Like you might have looked at your cards but the cards aren't even dealt. So I don't know, but they made me stop that. There's a lot of stupid rules like that.
All right. Yeah. This whole non-transferable on free play chips, I think it's ridiculous. Even if it is a policy, oh my gosh, it's husband and wife. Right? And again, they only got caught because they're playing together. She could have given him, half the free play chips and he goes to another table. They'd never know.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Okay. So it might be a policy, but it shouldn't be in our eyes, right? You get the free play.
And it could be that we've seen this a million times, Mark. Pit bosses decide what the policy is on their own.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing written down anywhere, or there's nothing that says anything. It's just like the airfare thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, this is what I was talking about, right? They wouldn't give him the airfare because he wasn't staying there, even though he said he looked at all the fine print. Now, I can understand that being a policy. It should be in the fine print. I can understand that being a policy.
And I've asked for that before. I've gone and forgot to ask for it ahead of time and got there and they say, oh, well, unless you have a room here.
Yeah, and Nick and his wife, they just got a room there so they could still get the free play, big deal, I guess. Anyway, Nick, glad you had a good time at WrestleMania. He was talking about how they stayed at Delano. That when his wife made the reservations, it was Delano. They changed the name in December to W Las Vegas. So just for people who are thinking, oh, is Delano still there? No, it's W Las Vegas right there at Mandalay Bay.
And WrestleMania, they initially said that ticket sales were low, but I think it ended up being okay.
That's what I heard from you. But yeah, the first night was sold out. I don't think the second night was. But yeah, it was a huge success for them. They'll be coming back.
Yeah, because I had read something that ticket sales were real low and the casinos were disappointed. No one was booking. But, it's WrestleMania. Maybe people who enjoy WrestleMania maybe book late.
Maybe.
A last minute thing. I'll just say, I think I'll go.
Yeah. All right. Last call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. Nate from Atlanta with a trip report about my stay in Las Vegas last week. Went out there for a convention, but the wife joined me for some Vegas fun on the weekend before. That resulted in a 6-night stay between Bellagio and Paris, and I learned 3 things. Thing number 1, 6 nights is far too long in Las Vegas. Thing 2, I don't think Bellagio is really all that much nicer than Paris. Rooms about the same. Yes, the casino floor is beautiful and they have a lot of high-end things, but it's kind of boring. Not a lot of places just kind of pop down, grab a drink, do something casual. The only really notably great thing about Bellagio over Paris or a lot of other properties is the pool area. That was pretty fantastic. Next thing I learned was the El Cortez downtown is amazing. I've heard a lot about the new renovations. I've never been. Decided I'd go check it out. It didn't disappoint. It has a shot at being it's for sure my new favorite downtown casino. Might be my new favorite Las Vegas casino.
Wow.
Looking forward to trying it again and testing that theory out. Planet Hollywood is the reigning champion for me there. A couple notable gambling things. I am sorry to report that I think I'm now a slot player. I played more slots than anything else on this trip. I'm not proud of that. I'm going to do my best to fix that problem. Yeah, maybe that hiatus from craps kind of ruined me and messed me up, and I need to get some therapy or something. Also, I went over to Plaza, played some blackjack. My record is losing 16 consecutive hands of blackjack. However, at Plaza, I won 15 hands of blackjack in a row. So that was really exciting. Looking to see if I can best that at some point. Thanks for everything you do, guys. Next up will be a stay at Red Rock, which I've never been to, and looking forward to some non-downtown, off-strip fun at that place. Have a great day.
All right. Good luck, Nate. 15 wins in a row. That's fantastic. I think we saw Paul do something like that once at Four Queens, and you might have had a run too at the old Silver City, I think.
Yeah, both of those are true.
Yeah.
What I hope is that Nate gets his consecutive win streak higher than his consecutive loss streak.
Right. We got to get it past that 16. Yes.
Yeah. So when somebody asks me, say, well, I've won 20 hands in a row and the most I've ever lost is 16. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of love for El Cortez coming from many sources. So Nate is just another who's saying it's good. Yeah. I haven't been in about 4 years, but old school Vegas, downtown, we've heard that some of the renovations have been great. And he's talking about Bellagio versus Paris. I don't like the Paris casino floor. I never have.
I don't either.
I don't enjoy playing there. I love Bellagio's casino floor. I've never stayed at Bellagio. I have stayed at Paris. I do enjoy staying at Paris. I just don't like playing there.
It feels too confined to me, and Bellagio feels more open.
I think you hit it. Yes. It's cramped. It feels cramped at Paris.
It feels
kind of dark.
Yeah.
And right. At Bellagio, it's open and bright. So
there's so much going on the ceiling there too. Like they have those grapevine things, and
at Paris, they try to make it. And what's this big thing here? Oh, it's part of the Eiffel Tower that.
Yeah, and it just kind of makes it dark.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. Which I like Bellagio's kind of bright and open.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. We want to thank Kurt for his recurring donation. Thank you very much. And we also got a donation from Vinny Chens. He says, royalty payment for letting us cut your audio. Yeah, if you listen to their recent episode, they actually play a clip from our show where we're talking about how it's hard to resurrect a podcast when you've stopped doing it for a while. It's kind of hard to get motivated. So they play that at the beginning of their show. He says, appreciate you both. Good luck at the tables. Take what you can, give nothing back. So again, great to have you guys back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Hey, at the top of our webpage, you'll find a link to our store where you can buy You Can Bet On That merchandise at 50% off. Also, you can find a list of all the gambling-related shows coming up on American television at youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings. And we've got a list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonThat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at youcanbetonThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. What do you got for us, Dr. Mike?
Well, Mark, I was thinking this morning as I was trying to wake up that, I can't do anything about the past.
Good,
it's
right.
gone.
Yep.
I can worry about the future, but I can't do too much about it. I can plan maybe, worry maybe, but the present I can do something about.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there on the edge of the bed and I thought, you know what? I'm going to cut the grass today. And do a little yard work, and then I might head down to the casino.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah, so I get the best of both worlds. I get work done at the house, and then I'll take a little luxury time for myself.
There you go. Good.
Not that I'm going to stay there long or gamble much, but I'm going to drive there. I'm missing it.
Yeah, you haven't been in a while.
Yep, haven't been a long while. Just going to drive on down there, get my free play that, and see what happens.
All right. I hope you don't win right away, but I hope you win at the end.
Yes, very good. Thank you. That would make me happy. As long as that winning end puts me ahead of, whatever free play I got. Yeah. But anyway, that's just a good way to live your life. Get up, sit on the edge of the bed and think, what can I do today to make me happy?
All right. Good. I'm so glad you said that, Mike, and good luck.
All right. You too. Because I hear you might be.
I might be going as well, so I'll let you know how that goes. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk again in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Oh, I do love a casino!